Okay, we thought she was good. Is that a man or a woman? Okay. Okay. All right. We were told they were going to be here in person.
Yep.
Is here. Okay. Okay. All right. Did you make a note of that? Those two on Zoom? Okay. Sir.
Good morning. The Senate Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety is called to order. Will Madam Clerk please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Here.
Senator Vanderwall.
Present.
Senator Barrett. Senator Johnson. Here. Senator Runstead. Senator Wozniak.
Here.
Senator Chang. Here. Senator Irwin. Here. Mr. Chairman, you have 6 members present. There is a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the committee minutes from the June 23rd, 2022 meeting. A motion made by Senator Vanderwall. Without objections, the minutes are adopted. I just want to highlight, we are taking up quite a number of bills here. We have a hard stop at 9:10 because a number of members of this committee need to go to the Appropriations Committee. And with that there, so testimony, if testimony is there, is going to be very brief. Most of the bills have been vetted out through the process, and we'll work through the committee on that with it. So first up, keeping our timely flow through, we'll be starting out with Senate Bill 114 through 1114 through 1123. And with that, Senator McDonald, you want to just give a brief update on this package of bills, and then we have one person here that will be coming up for testimony and 2 by Zoom. And there again, we have to keep this testimony with the full group within 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Victory.
Thank you.
Nice to see everybody again. I'm just here to introduce Unchained at last. This is to end child marriage in Michigan. With us via Zoom, I have Frady Reese. I have Nina Van Harn. And with us in person, I have Courtney Koznick, who is a survivor.
Thank you, Senator McDonald. Courtney, if you could come forward at this point in time, and then from there we'll have your brief testimony, and then from there we will go to Zoom and hear the testimony from the 2 participants by Zoom. Welcome to Judiciary Committee. If you could go first, because we were anticipating all being here. So
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and hearing this bill and having it actually have a hearing at this point. I'm a survivor of child marriage. At a very young age, at just turning 17, I agreed to marry a man who was 28 years old, 11 years older than me. What we don't understand and what people don't think about when I breach this topic is that under Michigan law, your parent can sign your marriage certificate and sign you away at 16. My mother and my future husband went without me to the Oakland County Court to get my marriage license. When I look at it today, it has my mother's signature, not mine. My mother entered a marriage contract, not me. As a child bride in the state of Michigan, you cannot get out of that marriage. You cannot file a lawsuit to end that marriage. You cannot go to a domestic violence shelter to protect yourself. They will not take you in as a minor. Within a month of my marriage, abuse began, and it continued for 23 years until I escaped. It was amazing to me that I would reach out to individuals for help, and I'm told, go home. That's where you belong. When we emancipate a minor in this state, we make sure that they can take care of themselves, that they can protect themselves, that they can pay their own bills. We do not check that when we allow a 16 or 17-year-old child to marry. In the state of Michigan, we have no minimum age to marry. You can be as young as 0, technically, according to our state laws. The youngest person in the last 20 years to marry in this state was a 14-year-old child. Under our state laws, when that marriage was consummated, that was then statutory rape. But we cannot prosecute statutory rape in a marriage. So this becomes a problem. We need to today vote this out of this committee, get it on the Senate floor, and protect our children.
Thank you for your testimony and your brief. If you wanted to stay right there in case there happen to be some questions after we have our participants by Zoom. There we go. We have our two participants of regardless. Who would like to go first? Frady?
Yes, I'll go first. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair Victory and Senator McDonald and the full committee. I am Frady Reese. I am a forced marriage survivor. I'm the founder and executive director of Unchained at Last, which is working to end forced and child marriage in the U.S., including here in Michigan, through direct services and advocacy. And my research and writing on forced and child marriage have been published extensively. So I'm here as a survivor, an advocate, and an expert to urge you to pass this important bill package. Right now, as you heard from Courtney, there is no minimum age to marry in Michigan. A parent and or a judge can enter a child of any age into marriage with no input required from the minor and with limited or no recourse, legal recourse for a child who doesn't want to marry. In addition to the really dangerous avenue that we have for the process that we have for marrying off children in Michigan, there are three main reasons that we urge you please to end all marriage before 18 in Michigan. One is how easily marriage before 18 becomes a nightmarish legal trap. As you heard from Courtney, minors don't have basic legal rights. They cannot easily leave home. A minor who leaves home to escape a forced marriage can be taken into custody. They can be placed in a juvenile home or a county jail. We as advocates who help a minor to escape an impending forced marriage, we can be charged with a crime. We can be fined up to $500 or imprisoned for up to a year. A minor cannot enter a domestic violence shelter because shelter staffers could be prosecuted criminally for harboring a juvenile runaway. They cannot easily retain an attorney to help them figure all this out because contracts with minors are voidable. The retainer agreement is a worthless piece of paper. And perhaps most shockingly, because minors cannot independently bring a legal action, they're not even allowed to independently seek to annul their own marriage. When girls reach out to us and learn of their limited options, in many cases, they end up turning to suicide attempts because of how limited their options are and how trapped they feel. Second really important reason to end marriage before 18, it is a human rights abuse. According to the U.S. State Department, it destroys almost every aspect of a girl's life. And her health, her education, her economic opportunities, even her physical safety makes it much more likely she will experience physical and sexual violence within the marriage. And then third reason, as you heard Courtney say, it undermines our statutory rape laws. We're giving get out of jail free cards to child rapists. I also want to be clear how often this is happening. Between 2000 and 2021, 5,426 minors were married in Michigan. 95% of them were girls married to adult men with an average spousal age difference of 4.3 years. And 12 of those marriages involved somebody under age 16, meaning they were not old enough to consent to sex, but a parent and a judge entered them into that marriage anyway. This bill package is simple, common sense legislation. It would harm no one, cost nothing, and end a human rights abuse. It has strong bipartisan support, bipartisan sponsors, and it has the support of the Coalition to End Child Marriage in Michigan, which consists of survivors and organizations across the state that are looking to you to end this human rights abuse. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Frady, for your testimony. If you just want to stay on Zoom there in case there's some questions. And then we'll go for our final testimony from Nina Van Harn. Is Nina there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yep, if you could, 1 minute of testimony would be very much appreciated. Anything you can encapsulate that wasn't previously said to inform the committee. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm actually here also on the behalf of my mother, Arlene Nyhop. She was a child bride and she prepared a letter for me that is short.
Thank you.
And she states, she has been a resident of Michigan her whole life. I'm here to talk about my experiences as a child bride. 6 weeks after I turned 16, my 21-year-old husband convinced me to forge my mother's signature and marry him while I was a resident of West Olive, Michigan. The abuse started almost immediately. The first year I tried to leave about once a month. However, as a minor, there was nowhere for me to go and no resources available to help me. I had no access to our finances. I could not get a bank account in my own name, and I was not able to buy or lease a car. I could not legally rent a hotel room even for one night, and could not go to a women's shelter. I could not rent an apartment. I could not get any legal help to escape because a minor cannot obtain a lawyer or file a lawsuit. 3 months later, I was pregnant with the first of 4 children. Being married and pregnant, I dropped out of West Ottawa High School in 10th grade. This limited my ability to obtain a job that would sustain me and my children independent of my abusive husband. As a child, my adult spouse became my parent. He groomed me, he made me behave the way he wanted, he forced me to obey him. There are many facets of my child marriage which negatively affected my proper emotional and educational growth. As a teen bride, I experienced extreme psychological and physical abuse. I fully endorse a clean bill ending all child marriage without exception, not only for the sake of what I experienced, but for the sake of my children's experience and the safety and needed protection of my grandchildren. Children should be protected from allowing me to go through what I went through. Arlene Noha. I am Arlene's daughter, and I'm also a resident of the state of Michigan, and I lived as a witness to the abuse my mother endured, which had detrimental effects on me as well. My grooming to be a teen bride started when I was just 10 or 11 years old. It was during these years my father prepared me to accept whatever spouse he chose for me, and started looking for a husband in earnest when I turned 16. Had he been successful in his search earlier, I would have been forced into a marriage as a child. When I was just 19 years old, I was forced into marriage with the man he chose. The ceremony took place at Dimmitt Chapel on the Hope College campus, right in Holland. Soon after, I suffered similar abuses to my mother. My education stopped, my options for employment were limited to what he would allow and not enough to support myself. I wasn't allowed to leave the house without permission. He took my car away. When my own daughters were just 10 and 7, their father informed them that their spouses would be chosen for them, and like my mother and I, they would marry young. I couldn't allow this cycle to continue, and I left. The state of Michigan granted me an annulment based on my marriage being a forced marriage. As an adult with legal rights and access to community services, it was extremely difficult. There are not enough protections for my daughters. Currently, a child can be forced into marriage with only one parent's signature. If and when their father would wish, he could force them into a child marriage. They will not be able to leave of their own accord, and I fear they will be trapped like my mother and I. The only real protection they would have against this human rights abuse is a clean bill that ends child marriage with no exceptions. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. With that, are there any brief questions from the committee of this here? Seeing no, yes, Senator Watson.
Really quick, just how are other states handling this, and how do we handle a marriage for someone under 18 that got married in another state and came here?
Well, to answer your question, 7 U.S. states already have passed the same legislation to make the marriage age 18, no exceptions. And we're working state by state. We're eventually going to get to all 50 states to make sure they all end child marriage. The way it works now is if a child were married, first of all, a child who's already married or an adult who was married as a child, this legislation would not impact them. Their marriage still would be valid. This is prospective legislation. And if somebody, parents took their child to another state to marry them off, which we know is happening as more states end child marriage, parents are taking their kids over state lines, that marriage still would be considered valid, but that will become a moot point once we end child marriage in all 50 states.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I do appreciate you coming forward today, and I apologize for, keeping the testimony brief, but it is compelling testimony, and it's very fitting to these package of bills forward with that. So again, thank you very much for those who participated by Zoom and coming into the committee. With that, Madam Clerk, we have a couple of cards so you can read in at this point in time regarding these bills.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in support of Senate Bills 1114 through 1123, Heath Lowry, representing Michigan Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence. In support of Senate Bill 1114 through 1116, Jess Averill, representing Michigan Domestic and Sexual Violence Prevention and Treatment Board. They are also neutral on Senate Bill 1119. And in support of Senate Bill 1114 through 1117, Stephanie Johnson, Family Law Section, State Bar of Michigan. That is all of the cards, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this point in time, we will now take up to vote these packages of bills. So I will now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 1114 to the floor with a recommendation the bill then pass. Motion made by Senator Vanderwall. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang. Yes. Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1114, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend the immediate effect for Senate Bill 1114. Without objections, immediate effect is now recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 1115. I'll entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 1115 to the floor with a recommendation that then passes. Senator Chang, would you like to make the recommendation? So supported by Senator Chang. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson. Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin. Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1115, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend the immediate effect for Senate Bill 1115. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 1116. I'll recommend a motion to report Senate Bill 1116 to the floor with a recommendation and then pass. A motion made by Senator Irwin. Yes, Senator Irwin. Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1116, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
I will now move to recommend the immediate effect to Senate Bill 1116. Without objections, the immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 1117. I will recommend the motion to report Senate Bill 1117 to the floor with recommendation the bill then pass. Senator Barrett, thank you for the motion. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak? Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1117, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
I will now move to recommend the immediate effect for Senate Bill 1117. Without objection, the immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 1118. We have a lot of ones here today. I'll try to keep that straight. I will entertain a motion to report out Senate Bill 1118 to the floor. Recommendation of the bill then pass. Senator Johnson, will you so move? So moved by Senator Johnson. Will you, Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak? Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1118, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
I will now move to recommend the immediate effect for Senate Bill 1118. Without objection.
1118.
Oh, I forgot I had put another. So 1118. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 1119. I will now entertain a motion to report out Senate Bill 1119 to the floor for a recommendation that this will pass. Senator Vanderwall, thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak? Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1119, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you. Now we move to Senate Bill 1120. I'll recommend the motion to report out Senate Bill 1120 to the floor where a recommendation of the bill then pass. So moved by Senator Runstead. Would you so move? Yes, Senator Runstead. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1120, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 1120. Without objection, the immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 1121. I'll recommend and entertain a motion to report out Senate Bill 1121 to the floor with a recommendation of the bill then pass. Motion made by Senator Wozniak. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Yes, thank you. Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1121, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 1121. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 1122. I'll now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 1122 to the floor. For recommendation, the bill then passes. Senator Chang. A motion made by Senator Chang. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1122, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 1122. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up of the final package of these bills is Senate Bill 1123. Senator Wozniak moves to move the bill. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 1123, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 1123. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. That is the final bills on that package. Next up is a package of bills. No testimony is received on these bills from Senate Bill 223 to 227 was received during the April 29, 2021 committee hearing. At this point in time, Madam Clerk, do we have any cards on these bills?
We do have cards, Mr. Chairman.
Read them.
In support of Senate Bills 223 through 227, Tom Hickson, Michigan Catholic Conference. In support of Senate Bill 223, 224, and 225, Jess Averill, Michigan Domestic and Sexual Violence Prevention and Treatment Board. In support of Senate Bill 223 through 227, Susie Sherman Hall, representing State Public Affairs Committee, Michigan State Council of Junior Leagues. And in support of Senate Bill 223 through 227, Heath Lowry, representing Michigan Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence. And that is all of the cards, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Madam Clerk. Seeing no other questions from the committee, Senator Chang, would you like to make a motion to on Senate Bill 223? So moved by Senator Chang. I will now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 223 to the floor for a recommendation the bill then pass. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 223, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 223. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 224. I will now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 224 to the floor with a recommendation bill then passed. Senator Vanderwall so moves. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 224, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next on the docket is Senate Bill 225. Oh, yes, thank you very much.
like to
I do
do
need to
that?
do immediate effect. That's why we,
you like-
Jackie,
okay.
you're doing very proficient here. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 224. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. So next, we move to Senate Bill 225. I'll now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 225 to the floor for a recommendation that the bill then passes. So moved by Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang?
Yes.
Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 225, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you. I'll now recommend the immediate effect for Senate Bill 225. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up is Senate Bill 226. I'll now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 226 to the floor with a recommendation the bill then pass. Motion made by Senator Wozniak. So moved by Senator Wozniak. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 226, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 226. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. The final bill of this package is Senate Bill 227. I'll now entertain a motion to report Senate Bill 227 to the floor with a recommendation the bill then passes. Senator Irwin, would you so move on the bill? Yes, Senator Irwin will. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang?
Yes.
Senator Irwin?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report Senate Bill 227, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for Senate Bill 227. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. There we go. So next up is we have House Bill 4898, Representative Filler on probate. Chair Filler, will you please come forward? And there too, can we keep our testimonies very short to the topic at hand?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you, committee members. This is 4898 through 4901. Myself and Representative Bolden, unanimous out of the House, a bipartisan bill package, and these changes come from the Michigan Probate Bar section. And what are we doing? Pretty basic, modifying EPIC, which is matters relating to guardianships, conservatorships, wills, trusts, and estates. We use the term technical fix in committee when we're joking, when something's very complex. But basically what we're doing, modernizing EPIC, hasn't been updated since 2000, updating definitions, adjusting allowed payment amounts to take inflation into consideration, and giving greater protections to vulnerable adults. And just 2 final notes. There is an amendment, actually one final note, being offered that removes language dealing with a section that caused some disagreement in the House, and that's the sub, and that deals with patient advocate provisions. And I guess that'll be worked on next term or in the future. We do have Nathan Piowarski from the probate section to give an overview. If, Nathan, you could talk for just 1 minute, if Chair, you'll allow that.
If 1 minute, yeah, I'll be very fine. Yep, thank you.
Chairman Filler gave an excellent summary, and I know that the committee's pressed for time. We appreciate your consideration. The probate section does support the bills. We are a voluntary section of the state bar, subject to all the usual provisos regarding sections taking public policy positions. Our public policy body has voted unanimously in favor of these particular bills. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Appreciate forward, and thank you, Chair Filler. We do have one person here to testify in opposition bill, Thomas Howell. If you can also abide by the 1 minute rule here, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Here in Michigan. I ended up pulling her dead body, bruised, beaten with a broken neck and broken pelvis out of a nursing home after having apparently COVID. Multiple residents died, and this was all in the best interest of my mom, who the court system ran over my mother, never informed the patient advocate designate. And here in some of this bill here, which is very misguided, it says here the court can make a determination if they feel that the patient advocate designate isn't doing their job and can just arbitrarily violate people's human rights and the Constitution of the United States of America doing this. So this bill has no teeth in it. There's no penalties for the judges who commit these crimes. Patient advocate designate can only be taken away if they've been convicted of a crime of elder abuse or financial abuse. And that should be in these laws that stop all this nonsense that's going on. You have all these judges here in the state of Michigan running unopposed. They're put there by the Bar Association. There's no choice in an election. They're running as what they call usurpers, which they're running as their capital letters straw man. And so they're not even the real person who is sitting on the bench. They're running their names as capital letters.
Thank you, Tom. Yep. So,
okay, so this needs to be taken out, and the senators here, Senator Johnson, Rumstead, and Wozniak all know this, and this needs to be voted out, and this all has to be rethought here in Michigan to stop this corruption.
Appreciate your testimony this morning, Thomas. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I had a question.
Oh, thank you very much. Yep.
We got these last night. I tried reading through them when I was dog-tired. I don't want to make a mistake on these because I know everything you're talking about. Were some of these, in your review at least, bills that were good or did no harm, or did you object to all of them?
There's certain sections in here are good starting framework points. But this whole package, as it's 88 pages, it's nonsense to go through this with the public. You're taking away people's human rights. You violated the United States Constitution and their rights and their patient advocate designate. You're violating families' rights by doing this law, okay, passing this out. And I don't know how misguided between Dana Nestle's task force, elder abuse task force, and what's going on here in Michigan. But this situation has gotten much worse. And now that these people have been reelected, the next 4 years are going to be a living hell on the society with what's going on. And this needs to be stopped now immediately. We need to have a rethink. I'll be sitting in the back here, and after we get done, if you guys all want to have a private conversation about the truth of what's going on here in Michigan, I'll be more than happy to help you guys work through some decent bills to help.
And if I may interject, that's why we have been working with Senator Johnson and others on this. These are a very technical component, and there's other bills being worked on. So
These judges don't care about your laws. It's just
Senator Johnson. Senator Johnson.
Yes, thank you for coming today. What I'd like to know is, in this bill, and I know we need to do a lot of work. I'm from Oakland County, and the surrounding counties, we have had a number of credible complaints from people I even went to junior high and high school with, so I understand that. But I also know that sometimes we have to put parts together. Can you tell me this particular part? What is in it that makes it worse? Or is it just not comprehensive enough?
Well, it's not comprehensive enough. Partly you've been given the court that can break a contract between two people. You have a patient advocate designate. That's a contract that's unbreakable between two people. Unless you have a criminal act that occurs where they financially abused, if you have a financial power of attorney or a healthcare patient advocate with a crime against that person or the elder abuse crime and convicted, you can't break that contract. This law does not say that. You've given the court the opportunity to make an arbitrary decision, and this has been the problem with all these laws in Michigan. There's several places in here where they use the word may instead of shall. And all this needs to be rethought. They put all these loopholes in there so they don't have to follow the law. They can violate people's constitutional rights, and it's contract law. When two people make this contract for patient advocate designate and healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, patient advocate designate, that's a binding contract that the court cannot break, period.
Yeah, I appreciate your testimony.
So I just want
Senator
to,
Johnson, you have one quick follow-up?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you're saying in this bill, you think that the judge would have the right to take away a contract that somebody's made with a family member or someone else? Is that what you're telling?
That's what this bill states.
And it doesn't do that right now, the law?
No, the law does that right now. And you just further, by passing this again and amending it, you've left these loopholes in there where technically you can't break a contract. And you have no provisions in this law that guarantee that that contract will stay intact. It's like, hi, there's a patient advocate designate. I want to file a guardianship case. Is there a patient advocate? Yes. Okay, we can't accept your application, ma'am or sir, at the counter clerk's desk. Okay, we can't even accept it. Has this person been convicted of a crime against this person? Yes or no? No. Then go home, because you can't even start a probate case. This is what's going wrong in Michigan. Okay, this is all contract law between two people. You can't break contracts. Then you get into the trust law in Michigan. Those are contracts. You've got all kinds of provisions in here. We can't get into it today because it's 88 pages.
Okay.
But you can't break contract law. And now you're allowing these judges to make arbitrary decisions to go in and break contract law. I'm a victim of that personally. I've had over $500,000 stolen, in my opinion, from trusts that they had no right to do so. They converted money to imprison my mom and hold her hostage.
Thank you.
So
we got
this all has to change.
Thank you, yep.
We all know better than pass this.
We appreciate your testimony. Thank you, and keeping it brief there. Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Again, I want to remind the committee on this here package, these are the more technical components of this process here. There's more comprehensive bills coming forward that's we've been working on, but this is the first step of the process. Yes, Madam Clerk, please read the cards.
Mr. Chairman, in support of House Bill 4898, Alex Morris, Michigan Bankers. Additionally, Alex Morris from the Michigan Bankers is in support of House Bill 4890 and 4891. Neutral on House Bill 4899, Alex Morris, Michigan Bankers. And the last card in support of House Bill 4899 and 4901, I'm kind of jumping ahead there a little bit together. Aaron Shore, Michigan Department of State. And that is all for the cards, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that there, with all the cards read in at this point in time, I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the S2 version of House Bill 4898, and a motion made by Senator Vanderwall. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak. Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin. Mr. Chairman, on the motion to adopt the S2 version of House Bill 4898, there are 5 yeas, 3 nays. The substitute is adopted.
Madam Clerk, it's 3 passes.
3 pass, I'm sorry. Please let me restate that for the record. Please excuse me. The motion to adopt the S2 version of House Bill 4898, there are 5 yeas and 3 passes on that. The substitute is adopted. Thank you.
That was, yes, do we have?
S2. Nope.
S2. Now we have to adopt the bill.
Correct. Adopt the S2 version.
So now I'll now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4898, the S2 version to the floor for recommendation for it to be passed. Motion made by Senator Vanderwall. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak. Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4898 S2, there are 5 yeas and 3 passes and 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend the immediate effect for House Bill 4898 S2 without objections. The immediate effect is recommended. Thank you, committee, on those package of bills. And next, we'll be moving to House Bill 4899. Vehicle titles, Representative Filler, Chair Filler, anything to add to the bills in front of us? Nothing to be spoken on? Thank you very much. It's all part of the package of, okay, the 4899, 4900, and 4901. So with that there, Madam Clerk, are there any cards to be read on these bills?
No, sir, they were all read in the original 48,
Okay.
the previous bill.
So they were all read in
together
that package.
as part of that package.
Bear
Yes,
with the
sir.
chair as he turned the page over on the component there.
Perfectly
So,
fine.
yes, thank you very much. So with that there, I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the S1 version of the House Bill 4899. Motion made by Senator Chang. So move. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin. Mr. Chairman, on the motion to adopt the S1 version of House Bill 4899, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is adopted.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'll now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4899 S1 to the floor with a recommendation, the recommendation bill then passed. Motion made by Senator Chang. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4899 S1, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
I'll now move to recommend the immediate effect for House Bill 4899 S1. Without objections, immediate effect is granted. Next up is House Bill 4900. I'll now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4900 to the floor for a recommendation the bill then pass. Motion made by Senator Vanderwall. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang. Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4900, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for House Bill 4900. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up on the docket is the S1 version of House Bill 4901. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the S1 version of 4901. Motion made by Senator Chang. So moved by Senator Chang. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson. Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang. Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to adopt the S1 version of House Bill 4901, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4901 S1 to the floor where recommendation the bill then pass. Senator Chang so moves. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson. Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang. Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4901 S1, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will now move to recommend immediate effect for House Bill 4901 S1. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Thank you, committee, for the work on those packages of bills there and the testimony we received. Next, we will be removing, Madam Clerk, do we have, yes. So we have the package of bills on the fentanyl, correct? Okay. We, on these bills, House Bill 4243, 4244, and 4245, we received testimonies on these bills back on April 14, 2022, and today we have a S1 version of each bills to adopt. If there is no questions from the committee, let's proceed on with these bills. So we will start with House Bill 4243. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the S1 version of House Bill 4243. Motion made by Senator Vanderwall. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to adopt the S1 version of House Bill 4243, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4243 S1 to the floor with the recommendation that the bill then pass. Motion made by Senator Vanderwall. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang. Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4243 S1, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the S1 version. Oh, do we have to do immediate effect on that?
Would you like to?
Okay, yes, let's do that. I skipped over that there. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for 4243 S1. Well, objections, immediate effect is recommended. Thank you for keeping an eye on the chair there, Madam Clerk. Next up is House Bill 4244. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt this S1 version of 4244. Motion made by Senator Wozniak. So moved by Senator Wozniak. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Pass.
Yes.
Thank you. Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to adopt the S1 version of House Bill 4244, there are 7 yeas, 0 nays, 1 pass. The substitute is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4244 S1 to the floor with a recommendation that the bill passes. Motion made by Senator Wozniak. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson. Senator Runstead.
This is 4245.
It's 40.
44, S1, we just had, so this is, we passed the sub of 4244. This is the bill with the sub.
Yes. Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4244 S1, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect for House Bill 4244 S1. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next on the docket is House Bill 4245, the S1 version to needs to be adopted. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the S1 version of House Bill 4245 by Senator Chang. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to adopt the S1 version of House Bill 4245, there are 6 yeas, 0 nays, 2 pass. The substitute is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I will now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4245 S1 to the floor with the recommendation the bill then passes. Motion made by Senator Chang. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory.
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall.
Yes.
Senator Barrett.
Sorry, which bill are we on?
This is Senate Bill 4245, the S1 version.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Johnson. Senator Runstead.
Yes.
Pass. Senator Wozniak.
Yes.
Senator Chang.
Yes.
Senator Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4245 S1, there are 6 yeas, 0 nays, and 2 pass. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend the immediate effect for House Bill 4245 S1. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Again, thank you very much for the committee on those package of bills. And next on the agenda, we have House Bill 4240 and 4241, presented by us, Representative Yart. Representative Yart, you want a few minutes just to? Since the committee has been very proficient today, we've been,
We do not.
and there again, if we can keep that very tight, because we do have just a few more minutes for committee here.
Well, I've lived my life being short, and I'm sure I can continue with my delivery that way. Thank you, Honorable Chair and committee members. You good? Okay. Happy today to be in front of you with my colleague, Senator
yes.
Wozniak.
Good to see you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Soon to be returning to the House. But in short, I will say that this came to our attention out of an incident in Macomb County. I think it's important to state the name. Prosecutor Eric Smith started taking the forfeiture funds and had his own checking account and then appropriating it on his own. I think it's important to keep reminding us it was Prosecutor Smith, as none of this activity is happening under Prosecutor Lucido. So I don't want any confusion that we're taking up an issue that's currently happening in the current prosecutor's office. But what we found is that in the public health code, there's a number of bills on civil asset, there's a number of laws on civil asset forfeiture. And we wanted to, so we're not taking up the larger debate that people have regarding civil asset forfeiture, just the controlling of the funds. And it's simply, the public health code includes that the money will be appropriated by the entity having budgetary authority. I will note that in both the Judiciary Act and the Michigan Vehicle Code, that language is not in there. So we're actually taking what's already in one code and actually saying the money should go through the treasurer and it should be appropriated by the appropriate appropriator so that there's no confusion. Former Prosecutor Smith argued in his statements that he was his own government entity and therefore he could take the money and he could appropriate the money. And I have his actual brief from his office arguing that. So I think we're just making sure it's clear that the money has to go through the treasurer and has to be appropriated out. There's some language regarding what prosecutors receive, how much they receive, and how it's going to be negotiated with the other government entities. That language was worked out with the Prosecutors Association, and I have an email sharing that they support and they're good with that language. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Senator Barrett?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just my only question, I'm sure this is probably easily answered, is you have a calculation of 75% distribution and then a 30% distribution, which adds up to 105% distribution. And was just curious, is that discretionary up to those amounts, or how did you come up with those numbers?
It's 75 and 25. 25 goes to the victim's fund. The 30% is 30% of the 75.
Oh,
So
okay.
the prosecutor can't take, their office can't hold more than 30% of
Okay.
the 75, if that
Gotcha.
cleans up the math.
Okay, I had misread that. I appreciate that.
No, it's okay. I mean, it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, there's just
Senator
one,
Barrett, my math was working to your math too, so I do appreciate that.
there's just one exception to that is when the prosecutor and the attorneys there agree to an hourly rate. But again, that can't go beyond our reasonable expectations of what they should be charging. We got a clear track on where the money's going now.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Seeing no other questions from the committee, Senator Wozniak, are you good with your presentation? I think you were looking with your response, it looked like you were satisfied, so very much with that. Madam Clerk, are there any cards to report in?
There are no testimony cards for these two bills, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, with that there, if Senator Wozniak want to take his chair, we might do some votes on this. Okay. While Senator Wozniak is moving forward, I will now entertain a motion to report House Bill 4240 to the floor with the recommendation that the bill then pass. Motion made by Senator Wozniak. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4240, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
I will now move to recommend immediate effect for House Bill 4240. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. Next up is House Bill 4241. I will now entertain a motion to move House Bill 4241 to the floor with the recommendation the bill then pass. So moved by Senator Vanderwall. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang? Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4241, there are 8 yeas, 0 nays. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I had to turn back the page because I was going to forget immediate effects, but I will now move to recommend immediate effect for House Bill 4241. Without objections, immediate effect is recommended. So as we move along, we are now on the final package of bills as before the committee. We have House Bill 4071 and 4072.
We have Representative Calley on Zoom.
Representative Calley, are you available by Zoom? Representative Calley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or Bronna Calley? Yeah.
Calley.
Calley, okay, yeah, Bronna Calley.
Yeah, Callie and Callie.
Yes, I
Calley
was,
and
thank you.
Calley.
It's not the first time. Representative Calley, are you available? Are there anyone else on Zoom at this point in time for the bills?
No.
We have her icon there, but while we're waiting, are there any cards for?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In support of House Bill 4071 and 4072, Tom Hickson, representing the Michigan Catholic Conference, and also in support of 4071 and 4072, Jess Averill, representing Michigan Domestic and Sexual Violence Treatment Board. And those are the 2 cards, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee on these bills at this point? And I guess if those who enter cards would be able to, on the components. So do we have any the members that enter a card present at this point in time?
No, both of these, no, they came in via email and one card was
Okay.
dropped off, so I don't believe so.
I guess as Senator Runstead, you have a question that
Yeah, so.
Jane at this point in time, I know the representative, we're trying to get her via Zoom or some, but if you want to present the question and.
Yeah, again, I'm getting this at at the last minute. And it says, well, at least on the analysis, in Michigan statute, however, there's no distinction between children with normal cognitive abilities and those with developmental disability that would make them more vulnerable to abuse. The package seems to remedy this and provide enhancement. So it doesn't look like it's distinguishing between those with normal and those with developmental disability. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator Barrett, could you reply?
I think the intent of this is to have an enhanced penalty for acts against a child who's considered vulnerable due to a disability of some kind or another. A person less than 18 years old who has a developmental disability, mental illness, or physical disability, or is nonverbal, is the language in 4071. I think the debate, so to speak, is whether or not all children, by virtue of the fact that they're minors, are vulnerable to begin with, which is why we have.
We have a representative from the representative's office. If you could add some clarity to the question, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was just clarifying.
Could you first identify yourself for the record?
My apologies, Chair. My name is Nick Rosso. I'm with Representative Bronicali's office as her legislative director. I apologize for stepping out.
Could you also, there's a red button there. There.
Good?
It sounds like you're there.
Am I here?
No.
At the base of the microphone.
There we go. So let's start from, let's introduce yourself, and then Senator Runstead, you could pose the question. Thank you.
My apologies, Mr. Chair, for that. I apologize for stepping out as well. My name is Nick Rosso. I am Representative Colley's legislative director. Would you please mind restating the question? I apologize.
It sounds like we clarified this is targeting to, was it nonverbal, developmentally?
Yeah.
You've got the language there.
Sir.
Developmental disability, mental illness, physical disability, or is nonverbal, is how it's defined in Representative Colley's bill.
Senator Barry, you're absolutely correct. It's towards nonverbal children and adolescents. So I thank you for clarifying that for me. I apologize once again.
And then just in terms of...
If I may, sir, I believe Representative Colley is on.
Representative Colley, are you available via Zoom?
Yes.
Well,
thank you, Chairman Victory. Committee members, I'm not sure if you are able to hear me.
Yes, we are coming through. Thank you.
My apologies. So thank you very much, and my apologies that we weren't able to present full testimony. But these bills that are before you are related to children that are not able to speak for themselves, that do not have a voice. And there was an actual circumstance and situation that occurred of continuous lower level abuse. And because the children involved were autistic, there was no indication by either their behavior and obviously by their words, since they were not able to speak, that it had been occurring over a very long period of time. And in the state of Michigan, our statute does not address this type of situation or separate out children who are nonverbal. And it went through very, very rigorous testimony in two committees in the House, first Family, Children, and Seniors, and then the Judiciary Committee, with extensive input from many stakeholders across the board. And it was narrowed into the institutional setting. So in this particular case, it was children that were getting their therapy, their ABA therapy, and the behavioral therapists were continuously abusing the children, but at a level that did not give the prosecutor the ability to serve true justice to the families that were involved. And I believe that the assistant prosecutor that tried the case is also on Zoom and could answer any questions related to the lack of tools in the tool belt, as we put it. And so at this point, I think if you look in your committee and in your records, there was no opposition that I recall on these bills. It's very sensible, it is very narrow, but yet it also allows justice to be served for these types of situations.
Thank you, Representative. Yes, Representative Barrett? Representative Runstead?
Is the prosecutor on?
I do not see the prosecutor on.
No, we do not.
It would be Angie Borders is her name.
We do not see it.
Do not.
We do not see it at this point in time.
Looking at least again at the analysis, it says a person's omission or reckless act causes physical harm to a child. What would be an example of omission?
It would be, so those definitions, or if I believe that there's no change to the child abuse statute and categories, other than, the change relates to the penalty if the child is nonverbal or vulnerable, as we would put it. So as for the definition of omission, I would really need to ask,
We're going from.
I really want to get the actual legal definition to omission that we use in all of statute for you, Senator, rather than speculate. It's not a new definition for Michigan law, or a new term. So we melded into our existing law. And does that make sense?
Yeah, again, we're getting at this at the very last minute, so I'm trying to parse out between the old penalty and the new.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
But apparently Senator Barrett has some
could you add
information on
some,
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, Representative, would it be true, we're not changing the definitions of what constitutes child abuse in any of the different degrees. It would be changing the penalty if the victim was determined to be a vulnerable child. Is that correct?
That is exactly correct, Senator Barrett. Yes.
Okay. And then under the definition of a vulnerable child, dealing with a developmental disability, mental illness, or physical disability, in my reading of your bill, it would only apply to those with some degree of authority, if you will, in a type of regulated facility. So it wouldn't be, a child who's, maybe suffers from dyslexia, and then that is determined to be a developmental disability and therefore just added onto the sentencing penalty, but they're not someone who is in a facility or working in a facility, something like that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. It's where families or parents are taking their child into a trusted situation with trained professionals when their child has already been diagnosed and is able to attend, and then there is abuse occurring. And the child cannot communicate it. It's very narrowly targeted for those situations that sadly have occurred and do occur.
Thank you. Any more questions at this point? Senator Irwin, yep.
Just a question about the definition of mental illness. Would a diagnosis of ADHD or anxiety qualify someone for enhanced penalties under the mental illness definition here?
It is also added, I believe, and I'm not sure if Nicholas is still sitting at the stand because I am unfortunately driving. I had it scheduled before committee.
Yeah, Nicholas is still at the here, so.
Because I think the focus is the nonverbal aspect.
Nicholas,
where the child is unable to communicate, Senator Irwin.
Yes, Senator, it is the nonverbal focus that is 4071. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the definition here, and it says substantial disorder of thought or mood that significantly impairs judgment, behavior, capacity to recognize reality, or the ability to cope with the ordinary demands of life that was diagnosed by a physician or other licensed medical professional. I'm just supposing that, when folks look at this and try to decide, what penalty bucket someone's offense might land in, that they're going to rely heavily on this that was diagnosed, quote, that was diagnosed by a physician or other licensed medical professional, rather than the squishier language about, quote, substantial disorder of thought or mood that significantly impairs judgment. I would imagine they would use the second clause to meter the first clause, but I don't know. That's why I was asking if some of these things that are pretty widely diagnosed would be included in the enhanced penalties.
Not if the child not if the child is outside of the definition of vulnerable. So, in other words, we already have penalties in place for child abuse. So the definition of a vulnerable child in this particular legislation includes a nonverbal piece.
I'm just looking at the definition of vulnerable child on page 3, line 26. Quote, vulnerable child means an individual who is less than 18 years of age, who is not emancipated by operation of law under Section 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and who has a developmental disability, mental illness, or physical disability, or is nonverbal. So the nonverbal component would be one, but physical disability would be another, and mental illness or developmental disability would all be separate elements that would qualify someone who assaulted this person for an enhanced penalty. That's how I read it. It seems to go significantly beyond nonverbal, I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, we get one, Senator Barrett.
To Senator Irwin's point, that was kind of my original question was, are we adding beyond, obviously, someone who is nonverbal, but would it only apply if that child is in a facility in the care of a healthcare professional? Because if so, then I think that might satisfy some of the concerns of being overly vague with the definition of vulnerable, but I don't want to speak for Senator Irwin, but I guess I'd like to, Representative, if that's your understanding, or is that how you wrote the bill?
Yes, that is how I wrote the bill. That is the understanding, and that is the intent that was clarified through the two-tiered committee process in the House. Yes, that was well said and accurate.
Okay, so the vulnerable definition is as stated, obviously, but it would also, this enhanced penalty would only apply if that vulnerable child was also in a regulated facility or home, and the person committing the act of abuse was acting in a health profession capacity.
Correct. It does not include a home setting at all with parents. It's when it is a professional. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Which limits it greatly. A healthcare professional, to be exact.
Yep. Thank you, Representative. At this point in time, I see no other comments here, and we're running tight. We're running tight. We have Senator Barrett?
Senator Irwin.
Oh, Senator Irwin, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I don't want to.
Oh, no, but this committee will be adjourning here and for appropriations, so are you satisfied at this point?
I'm not really sure what satisfied means in this context. Yeah, if we got to vote, we got to vote. Correct. To me, what it seems to say is that this would cover individuals who are operating in any child care license, any facility licensed under the Child Care Licensing Act, or someone who is acting within his or her health profession at the time the offense occurs. So it's not just limited to health professionals, it also would be limited to anyone who's operating in a facility that's licensed under the Child Care Licensing Act, which I think extends pretty far beyond healthcare facilities.
Thank you. With that, any other comments from the committee? Seeing none, we will now entertain a motion. Madam Clerk, have we read all the cards in?
Yes, sir, we are.
All the cards in. So we will now entertain a motion, report House Bill 4071 to the floor. Recommendation the bill then passes. Senator Vanderwall?
Yep.
Makes a motion to report Senate Bill 4071 to the floor. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Is Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Is Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang?
Yes.
Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4071, there are 7 yeas, 0 nays, 1 pass. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll now move to recommend immediate effect or House Bill 4071 without objections. Immediate effect is recommended. Next is House Bill 4072. I will now entertain a motion. Report House Bill 4072 to the floor. Will the recommendation bill then pass? Senator Barrett? Sure. Motion made by Senator Barrett. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Chairman Victory?
Yes.
Senator Vanderwall?
Yes.
Senator Barrett?
Yes.
Senator Johnson? Yes. Senator Runstead?
Yes.
Senator Wozniak?
Yes.
Senator Chang?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Irwin? Mr. Chairman, on the motion to report House Bill 4072, there are 6 yeas, 0 nays, 2 pass. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I now move to recommend immediate effect for House Bill 4272 without objections. Immediate effect is recommended. With seeing all attendants here and no need to excuse any members, just as we conclude here, I just want to thank the committee. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank Minority Chair Chang for all the work you've done, and sometimes we didn't always agree, but your passion was always appreciated, and I think we were able to move some things forward. And Vice Chair Vanderwall, I appreciated there too, even when you had to take the reins of the committee and take the gavel. I do apologize. Some of those committees were, robust, but you handled it very well. And to all the other committee members, it's been an honor to hold this gavel. And I will always remember this opportunity throughout my journey of life, and also the colleagues I was able to serve with. And again, many thanks as our journey of life moves on, and some in many different directions, but with that, we always have these memories, and also to do the people's work. And I want to emphasize, ultimately, it was for the betterment of the state of Michigan and for the people. Some were for the voice and some without a voice in those components. So it was a great honor and opportunity, and with that there, seeing no further business before the State Judiciary and Public Safety Committee, it's a great honor to be adjourned. Thank you.